The pirate disc jockeys we know today are but remnants of yesterday's hams and amateurs. The world's first amateur radio organization, the Junior Wireless Club, was headquartered first at the Hotel Anson in New York, and later at the home of the group's corresponding secretary. These adolescent boys harnessed the likes of leadership such as 11-year-old W.E.D. Stokes, Jr., who believed the air we breathe should be free to all. It would be the people's continued resistance of government regulation of the airwaves that would cause the U.S. to experiment more with this new medium in Latin America, particularly Cuba. Whereas other countries like Italy, England, Canada, India, Africa saw radio as sanctioned by the government on behalf of the people, the U.S. began developing a new model, government control of the airwaves on behalf of profit. It solidified this with the Communications Act of 1934 that also established the Federal Communications Commission, or FCC. This president-appointed government-independent entity is responsible for licensing and the allocation of the frequency and spectrum space, as well as enforcing all matters related to radio broadcast and communication in general. It would take 62 years for the 1934 law to be amended. The Telecommunications Act of 1996, complements of the Clinton administration, essentially accelerated the deregulation of all communication entities and removed limitations on mergers and station ownership. Robert McChesney states, it essentially permitted the market, not public policy, to determine the course of the information highway and the communication system. Meanwhile, founder of pirate radio station Free Radio Berkeley, Stephen Dunifer, would arrive on the scene to challenge the courts. U.S. versus Dunifer set precedent in the world of microradio and paved the way for what we know today as LPFM. The case began in 1994 as a result of Dunifer receiving notice from the FCC to shut down Free Radio Berkeley. Judge Claudia Wilkin denied the FCC injunction and suspended judgment until the government would provide more information, marking a first in which the courts sided with the activists. Stephen Dunifer would become the poster child as synonymous with microradio broadcasting in the United States, helping the likes of Mbani Kantako and oppressed people globally like the Zapatistas enter radio through the dissemination of knowledge and transmitters. The momentum would lead to legislation authorizing the licensing of community radio in the United States, as began from the passing of the Radio Broadcasting Preservation Act of 2000. The controversial Dunifer case would cause the FCC to adopt a legislative position that prohibited any applicant from obtaining a low-power FM license if the applicant has engaged in any manner in the unlicensed operation of any station in violation of Section 301 of the Communications Act of 1934. Likewise, Free Radio Berkeley would continue from 1999 as Berkeley Liberation Radio.
With you and wanted to make sure that you know the number to call in, just in case you were anticipating doing that today. It is 510-495-1666. As well as, I wanted to let you know that Berkeley Liberation Radio exists to provide a voice for the diverse community within the Berkeley, Oakland area and beyond. Further, it is a vehicle that we establish to bring about social change, consistent with a vision of creating an alternative, diverse, hybrid society, free of sexism, racism, homophobia, and all other forms of oppression. Programming on Berkeley Liberation Radio will be reflective of these goals and ideals. You're listening to Outside the Box with Lady Sunray as we are celebrating women this month.
All DJs do is they push record or they push play on a button that was already told to them by a programming director. They have no say in the music content that they play. All they get to do is switch the songs around in the order that they play. So it's very disappointing that commercial radio is that way, and there's not a lot of freedom and creativity that's allowed for a DJ on mainstream radio. So what does that mean? Well, it means the listener has to suffer for that too. So what happens? No one listens to the radio. So why do I want to do that? I want to create something that is, enjoyable to listen, and where it's like we're almost having a dialogue.
The university undermined the station. This was last year, and sold the call letters out to some group out of San Diego. And overnight, like, DJs came in the next morning to do their show, and the station was done. It was totally done. They didn't even know that was going to happen. So I think they started broadcasting online because some of those DJs, it's all volunteer. They've been there for years and years and years. I mean, this was their labor of love, and it was just stolen, basically, right out from under them by the university. They just sold the 90.3 to, not like Clear Channel, but, to someone that had a chain of stations throughout. Yeah. No, yeah.
What else can I tell you on tech stuff? The studio seems to be working pretty good. Our CD1 and CD2 broke, that dual player, and we got a couple more CD players, and one of the ones we just bought no longer works. CD2 seems to be dead already.
Yeah.
The CD1, that's a Craigslist find. That was like $10, and the guy never used the thing, so it's almost new. So I'm hoping.
So there's different types of mics, right? This mic, you have to be right in front, because you'll hear yourself in the headphones if you have it on like this. Go over more of it. These red lights right here send things to your headphones, basically, or they send the things to the monitor. And there's buttons that you can turn off to turn on headphones, turn off the headphones, things to turn the phones off, turn the monitor on. So this is the monitor. That's the volume. So this volume right here doesn't affect anything that people are hearing. It's this. And if you can see, they kind of want everything to be yellow, just into yellow. And you can control volume here, you can control volume here, and then these are like low, mid, high. Or is it the other way around? High, mid, low. So bass, that kind of thing.
School gets out at 3:30. We have to wait till 7 to get our ride to go to the show. So, first time meeting them was like, okay, I'm Derek. What's your name? What's the grade? We just started talking, and like the more time we spent with each other, like the closer we got, and it became like this like brotherhood that we created between each other, where like the time that we wait for the show to start, we just talk. We just put everything down on the table. You did something yesterday, you will say it. Or you got something on your mind, you will say it. It just became to the fact that we just connected just like that. And so now it's just like a ritual. We just start talking. We just talk everything. And then when we started getting our own show, at first we just mixed that, like we just started talking, and then somebody would come up with a theme of what we was talking about, and then bam, that's good. There go our show.